calling someone up and actually asking for a date. Didn't that go out with, well, black and white TVs?
Bumble, Hinge, and the League.
Dating apps. How many dates do people really get because of them? From Tinder to texting, it's tech all the time. So dating can be studied and even taught.
So the girl here is responding to the initial gift that was sent to her, and she says, "How's it going? I should tell you now that I'm very terrible at these things."
Welcome to the field of relationship science.
I am not that interested in you.
And then there are the folks who find being part of a couple is sexually and emotionally limiting.
About a year ago, on a car ride to Western Massachusetts, I asked my friend Spencer some questions about what it's like being polyamorous.
This week, the brave, new, and sometimes overwhelming world of love and relationships. What's left to say about a simple four-letter word? Just an even combination of consonants and vowels strung together that hasn't already been sang, proclaimed, journalized, philosophized, eulogized, or whispered into a pillow. But that L-O-V-E, that star-crossed Romeo and Juliet, call me by your name meets Shape of Water kind of love that seems to suck up all the air and rule the box office is just one form of love. The ancient Greeks defined 8 distinct types of love, including sexual passion or eros, ludus, playful flirty love, philotia, which is self-love, and agape, the churchy kind of love for all things great and small. This week, we're delving into 3 contemporary takes on amore that expand and in some cases completely blow up those ancient conceptions of love. So open your mind and maybe your heart will follow as we go in on love and relationships.
Here's Bill ready to make the plunge. Let's see how well he does it.
Hello?
Hi, Helen. What are you doing Friday night?
Yes? Who is this?
No, Bill didn't do very well.
I used Hinge, Bumble, and Tinder.
Mostly Grindr.
Hinge and Bumble.
Bumble, Hinge, and the League.
I've used Tinder.
Hinge, Bumble, and Tinder.
Currently I'm on Hinge and I'm on Grindr.
I download them and then I delete them and download them and delete them.
And then nothing will come of it because nothing has come of it from any of them. And then I go like a month without touching them.
Swipe left.
No one can make you feel better than a stranger. Like you meet people, you have friends who big you up, who compliment you, who make you feel loved. You have your family, but those people know you. But a stranger knows nothing about you, and when they tell you that you're pretty, when they tell you that you're smart and you're cute, and you feel validated. Validation is definitely something that I'm searching for on dating apps. So I am on Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, Grindr, Scruff, Growler, I was on OkCupid for a while. I was on, what's that other one? So on Tinder, you swipe, you only see one profile at a time. On Scruff and Grindr, you can see everyone who's close to you. You can just choose people to talk to. And I remember feeling excited because I was just kind of coming out, and I hadn't had any kind of relationships with anyone at that point. So it was exciting for me to see that I had options and opportunities to talk to people. Really late into my freshman year of college, I want to say like around March was the first time that I actually messaged someone.
Politeness comes naturally when we are considerate. Lack of consideration can spoil our partner's good time.
And nothing. And I didn't get any responses from anyone that I messaged for months. And it made me feel really shitty. You know, like I just felt like I wasn't valued and that I wasn't seen. And so you try really hard to curate this personality and this aesthetic on your dating apps. You want people to see the best of you, right? So, and this is universal even on social media. You want people to see the highlight reel. I would say that I'm on dating apps throughout the day, probably a total of 4 hours a day. I'd say I can count on one hand how many people I've met on these apps that I've actually gone on real dates with. I think that the fun is in the possibility. It's in the not knowing. So you have all these expectations for the what ifs, and you set them so high that you set yourself up for failure. No one's matched me. Let's see how long it takes for me to get a match. And swipe right. See, this is the hard part because you just want that instant gratification. You want someone to be like, I want you, I want you. But when no one's swiping right, let's see what happens. Let's go through. Sometimes I do this because like you can always filter through if you match with someone. All right, there's one. I think I continue to use dating apps because it's easier to be dishonest. It's easier to pretend. It's more fun to pretend. It's more fun to play games with people and see if the game works out, if it works in your favor, if it doesn't. And I think that for me, because I have had better results on apps than in person, I continue to use them because I know that at a certain point, I will get a result.
So my success rate has been 0%. I have gone on 0 dates.
I haven't really gotten many dates. I think I do it more for fun.
The gamification of the whole process of dating.
Dating feel very transactional in a way that I don't think is very fulfilling.
I've had like 2 really intimate conversations with this person, and yet I don't know if I'm ever gonna text them.
Over 80 dates from a dating app?
A bunch, maybe like 10.
Wasting so many minutes swiping left and right, mainly left.
I met my boyfriend on Grindr, actually.
My last like 3 girlfriends have come from dating apps.
Went on one pretty good date. It's still going on. Tell me more.
I met a girl off of Hinge. So on Tinder alone, right now I have 1,685 matches.
If anything is overwhelming, it's that the fact that there are so many people out there, and it kind of like kills the romanticism with it, in as much as like there are so many people, and like how, like if you can literally just like click through people, how do you like, how is someone special, if at all, if like tomorrow I could like click on someone else, and people aren't exactly going up to each other in bars and like striking up conversations like we're in a sitcom.
Diving into the social swim is a lot easier than it seems. By following these simple rules, all dating can be fun.
Yeah, swipe left.
It's your first time in New York City.
Actually, yes, yeah.
You visited the Love Sculpture.
For good reasons, I guess.
What reason?
Because we love each other, I guess. No, I know.
And basically we got engaged this summer, and we are planning to print save the date cards, and we want to have a nice picture on it.
So tell us your definition of love.
Well, that's actually pretty easy. I think you need to feel comfortable with each other, and you need to trust each other.
Comfort and trust.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a good way to start.
Yeah.
All right, top that.
Actually, what I heard about is you don't say I love you because that you say I love you, but, and actually we both have mistakes, and even if we have those, we love us so much and we look above these mistakes, and this is what I think is love, I think, yeah, maybe.
So a lot of times you go out to a bar, you want to meet someone in real life, and they're sitting there next to you just like swiping, you know, on Tinder. So I tell people, Brooklyn has so many different people, but you can meet that person that's great on paper, but there's got to be just a click. And like, what is that? It's so hard to quantify. That feeling that you know that you can picture yourself with this person, that there is that connection. It's so abstract and amorphous. On the one hand, it's amazing. On the other hand, it's scary. I'm driven by just trying to understand more, good, bad, or indifferent. So the girl here is responding to the initial gift that was sent to her, and she says, "How's it going? I should tell you now that I'm very terrible at these things." That's like walking into an interview for a job and saying, "I'm not really good at job interviews." This girl might be a wonderful conversationalist, an amazing texter, but she might be like, you know, too harsh on herself, and now she's just planted in his mind, all right, this person's not a good texter, I don't want to go back and forth with her, it's not worth my time. So relationship science is an interdisciplinary field. It covers biology, philosophy, psychology, sociology, anthropology, and it goes from the beginnings of life, what helps us bond to our parents, through what makes for successful mates, to infidelity, long-lasting loving relationships, and even bereavement. I started to realize that whenever I spoke about relationships, it really, really resonated with my students, and they became more interested in the material and the research behind it. Now we have ghosting, breadcrumbing, orbiting. I learned so much from my students. All right, those are the females. Now for the males. This is the behavior that the female will do that indicates to the man, I am not that interested in you. Nothing. Literally nothing. So this essentially means that if the woman never speaks to the man again, that still doesn't indicate to the man that she's not interested. People come first unaware that relationship science is in fact a science. Making that bridge, what I'm trying to do is bridge, this is academic, this is a real life, this is how you can relate the two, and that's what I'm trying to bring to people when I give my guest lectures. So remember, we started out with well over 8 million potential partners. And now I have 115 men. It shows you just how incredibly wonderful and special and amazing that person is that you wind up with, because it really is almost, in a way, like finding a needle in a haystack. But this also should make you think that when you go online dating, it's really important to play with those parameters. If it doesn't 100% matter to you, or if there's height or something else, you want to be a little bit more forgiving to widen that pool and potentially meet people who you might click with. Oh, sorry, hold on. I do have, if you remind me, I do have jobs to give you an email. What can you do each? Let me give you, go to my website, MarisaT.com. I've studied perceptions of first date success, because I think it's really important, because I was an online dater, I met my husband online. Of course, this probably all informed my love of this research, because art imitates life. When we go into these early dating experiences, and we're also trying to communicate our own ideas and communicate interest in a potential partner if we are interested in them. but that intended message doesn't necessarily get across. Right off the bat, that can create a problem in early dating experiences and potentially stop a relationship in its tracks. If you take a situation where a relationship didn't work out and then you like retroactively look back and you can craft two different narratives from the exact same conversation. So this comes across like, let me see how much I can push you and like butt heads, but he's like in for the game. He's saying like, I'm trying to date danger. And like they're talking about how they both want the competition. She says, I don't know if you can handle it. Again, is she trying to be playful or is she just trying to like give him the blow off? He curses, he crossed the line. And that's when she stops talking to him. You put yourself out there and then in like one text message, a person can kind of just shut you down. And that can be really painful. And I think that's why like a lot of people are like, oh, I don't like these algorithms or online dating, and it's, you know, taking the magic away. I don't think that they can ever get that good. It's not changing the trajectory of the relationship, it's changing the entry point to the relationship. So there's always kind of like this factor of unknown in anything. I think people can more easily point it out in relationship science, but I think that's kind of beautiful, because if you could figure it out, doesn't that kind of take all the magic and mystery out of it?
I believe that you can have soulmates who maybe are not meant to be your life partner in the here and now forever. I feel like soulmates can teach you something about yourself and could be a long-lasting connection that you have to that individual, but doesn't necessarily need to be your husband or wife or your dedicated partner. So that's maybe something that I feel is a little more non-traditional.
It's graduate level though.
In the past, when I was in monogamous relationships, the hyper-focus on one person and our individual problems made it so that it was hard for me to see myself outside of it, and I felt like I wanted to try non-monogamy. Then I started hooking up with multiple people and seeing how that felt, and I was curious about what would happen if I fell in love.
About a year ago, on a car ride to Western Massachusetts, I asked my friend Spencer some questions about what it's like being polyamorous. At the time, I was in a long-term monogamous relationship, but I had known many other trans people with multiple partners, and I was kind of confused about how they made it work.
Ready to walk? He's like, am I ever?
I remember the first time that I heard the term polyamory, and it was someone that I was interested in dating, and she was like, yeah, me and my girlfriend are polyamorous. And I was like, what does that mean? She said, break it down. Poly means many, amorous means loves.
My first intimate experience with another trans person was really the moment that I realized I was trans. Seeing that body and being with that body and having that person see me as of the same community, like we saw each other in that moment of intimacy, and there was something that clicked in me that I don't think I maybe ever would have understood until I had that moment. I think since then, just being with other trans people is just like coming home. When we met and they said that they were non-binary and also trans, it was like this light turned on inside me, and I couldn't, it was like every word out of your mouth, I couldn't believe, like, you kept becoming like more and more exciting and amazing. When I try to describe how I think of polyamory to friends of mine, I try to just phrase it in terms of like, it's a way of opening yourself up to thinking of love in terms of multiplication instead of a finite resource that can only go to one person. I still feel jealousy, I still feel insecurity, I still feel all the things that I'd feel in a monogamous relationship, but I choose to live and love in this way because of the ways it opens doors for me that wouldn't otherwise be there.
We met on Tinder. I was dating probably like 4 or 5 people at the time. You were kind of shy, but I thought you were really cute. And yeah, you did a lot of stuff with your hair. I love that. You're crazy. I love it when I can see your inner child and then our inner childs play together.
Give me your jacket and your sweatshirt. We're gonna do this right. You help me return to just parts of myself I've erased and repressed and shut down because people didn't want to see them or thought they were like I don't know. Sorry everybody, I'm not even a fan. I dated someone for like 7 years and we like opened our relationship kind of like halfway through. I learned so much about myself and like my desire. And I don't think I could have come out as trans if I didn't get to have that experience.
On the night I met Hazel, she told me that coming out to her parents as non-monogamous was more difficult than coming out to them as trans. Love is a fragile thing, and loving multiple partners, while beautiful, is not without its complications.
I think my relationship with Nate has taught me a lot about myself, and I've also learned a lot about how love can take so many different forms. So Nate lives in Los Angeles, and I live here in Boston. And we see each other when we can, and when we don't see each other, we write to each other, we send each other gifts. He's really into baking, so sometimes he'll send like cookies and scones and things like that. And we talk a lot on the phone and just kind of share snippets of our lives with each other that way.
When Spencer and Nate first started using the language boyfriend, I had some feelings about it. I was like, I'm your boyfriend, you have another boyfriend? Okay, cool. So, you know, a lot of the things that
And I was like, what?
Yeah. So I think that, you know, it really kind of brought to light our difference of understanding of what that word means. And, you know, all of these like insecurities that I have would come up because of that. But then trusting Spencer and Nate to figure out the way that they wanted to be in each other's lives, and trusting Spencer and my relationship enough to know that it would not be negatively affected by that, which it really hasn't been.
You're tired. No, me too. I'll do this. Give me a chance.
And then when we met, and I was like, yeah, it's just like, and then a month later, I'm like, oh my God, I'm like in love with this person. Like, it's different. And like, I'm completely freaked out, and I like don't, it's like not gonna be chill being open anymore. It's gonna be really hard, but I still wanna do it. It's been different at different points. As my love grows for you, I feel like going on other dates feels higher risk, even if I don't want it to feel that way. I've been the most open in this relationship in that I'm able to like express fears and like you're not scared of my biggest self. You want that for me.
For a long time after that drive with Spencer, I wondered if I was capable of loving multiple people. It wasn't until attending the memorial service of Amelia, a trans feminine person gone far too soon, that something within me shifted. Seeing multiple partners of hers come up and speak on their love they had for Amelia was so deeply moving. Feeling that powerful energy they all shared pushed me to unpack my own shame and love and live as Amelia did, as Spencer, Nate, and Ev do, as Yata and Hazel do, openly, honestly, and in harmony.
So we're talking to folks about love today, and I want to know what you guys, all the way from Iowa, know about love. What's your definition of love?
When you care about someone and you put their needs before yours, even if you don't want to.
What is love?
Unconditional, regardless of the situation, the people that you love, your family, and love without wanting something in return, I guess.
Emerson, what do you know about love? Family. Good job. Thanks for going in with us on Love and Relationships. If you loved it and want to check it out again, you can watch this or any past episodes of Going In at our home on the web at youtube.com/BRIC TV. Bye now.